slumped by the Aga in his usual state of Labrador passivity, was going to need walking very soon, or there might be a nasty accident on the kitchen floor. What was more, the house was completely out of dog food, and Carole was just not strong enough to complete either of these tasks. Much as it went against her every instinct, she was going to need help. And getting that help from Jude, who had already witnessed her parlous state, was preferable to involving anyone else, letting a stranger into her life. Grudgingly, Carole Seddon bit the bullet and agreed that her neighbour should add to her own errands the task of walking Gulliver out to buy some of his favourite pedigree chum. She still showed token resistance to the idea of pampering. She certainly wouldn't contemplate the idea of Jude helping her undress and get her back to bed, but she did let slip where the hot water bottle was to be found. Jude was discreet enough to tap on the bedroom door before she entered with the filled bottle and a steaming drink. She looked at the drained face peering miserably over the edge of the duvet. "There, at least you look a bit more comfortable." "I'll be all right," said Carole, who hated the notion of being ill. "Don't worry, we'll soon get you better." "What do you mean, we?" A spark of disgust came into the pale blue eyes. "You're not going to try and heal me, are you?" Again, Jude had difficulty suppressing a grin. Nothing would ever shift her neighbour's antipathy to the idea of healing, or indeed any other alternative therapy. "I promise I am not going to try and heal you. It wouldn't work anyway. Bugs like this just sort themselves out in their own time." "Then who's this we?" Carole persisted suspiciously. "For heaven's sake, it's just a figure of speech. We'll get you better. It doesn't mean anything more than the fact that I'll keep an eye on you, see you've got everything you need." "Oh, but I don't want you to—" The words trickled away as Carole realised just how ghastly she did actually feel. She had no more resistance left. "Anyway," said Jude cheerily, "we, or I, if you prefer, have got to see you're all right by Sunday." "Why? I thought you said that's when Stephen and Gabby are bringing Lily down to see you." But this reminder of her status as a grandmother didn't bring any warmth to Carole's manner. "No," she said, "I've put them off." "What?" "I don't want to breathe germs over the baby, do I?" replied Carole piously. It was in a way the correct answer, but it stimulated an anxiety within Jude about how Carole was adjusting to her new role as a grandmother. Still, this was not the appropriate moment to follow up on that. She handed the hot drink across to her patient. Carole sniffed. "It's got whiskey in it," she said accusingly. "Of course it has," said Jude. Jude was unused to walking a dog, but Gulliver's equable temper did not make the task difficult. His benevolence was more or less universal. When he barked, it was from excitement, and his encounters with other dogs were playful rather than combative. Most important, he was never aware that Carole, not a natural dog person, had only bought one so that she wouldn't be thought lonely as she was seen walking with him around Fethering. After her divorce and what she still thought of as her premature retirement from the Home Office, Carole Seddon had planned her life in Fethering so that she would be completely self-sufficient. She didn't want other people in her life, and Gulliver had been just one of the defence mechanisms she had carefully constructed to prevent such intrusions. But then Jude had moved into Woodside Cottage next door, and even Carole found her resistance weakened by the charm of her new neighbour's personality. Jude rarely spoke about her past, but the details she did let slip led Carole to deduce that it had been a varied, not to say checkered one. There was something of the former hippie about Jude. She was a healer and had introduced into the bourgeois fastness of Woodside Cottage such exotic items as crystals and wind chimes. It would have been hard to imagine a more unlikely friend for Carole Seddon, but though Carole would never have admitted it out loud, she valued the friendship more than almost anything else in her life. Jude took Gulliver onto the beach and let him scamper around off the lead, playing elaborate war games with weed-fringed plastic bottles and lumps of polystyrene. She allowed him 20 minutes of this while she scrunched to and fro on the shingle. Then she let out a hopeful whistle and was gratified that Gulliver came obediently to heel and let her reattach the lead. It was a typical early February day. Though the people of West Sussex bemoaned the lack of winter snow and spoke ominously of global warming, the weather proved itself able still to come up with good old-fashioned coldness.